So this video is about posture and stability exercises. First one we're starting with is horse stance in 4-point. What we want to work on is just finding a neutral spine. So roughly a little bit tilted, slight little arch in our lower back. We want to draw our shoulder blades back and down slightly. Hands are under shoulders, knees are under hips. In this position now we're just practicing, can we do some belly breaths, some diaphragmatic breaths, letting our lower abs expand, our belly button drop towards the floor, and we're breathing into the sides of our body, into our pelvic floor, into our belly, and into our back. To check if you have a neutral spine, we want 3 points of contact with our tailbone, shoulder blades, and our head. And as you can see there, our hand and wrist should just fit underneath the stick, not more or not less. From here, as we breathe in, we're letting our tummy expand like previously. As we breathe out, we're drawing our belly button towards the stick or towards our spine. We're drawing up through the pelvic floor, and we're holding this for about 10 seconds. The standard place to start is building on 10 lots of 10-second reps. With that, as we draw our belly button in, it's about a 4 to 5 out of 10 effort. So as we do that, we're helping to give some stability around our spine, and if we're maintaining a long neck and a slight chin tuck, we're building on the strength and endurance of our deep cervical flexors, our lower abs, and our thoracic extensors. Over time, you can progress by going into the horse stance horizontal. So now we've dropped down lower, our head and pelvis are in the same alignment and parallel to the ground. You want to draw the shoulder blades back and around and draw your elbows towards the side of your body. So that's going to put more demand on the triceps, the serratus, and some of the shoulder stabilizers. Again, we're building on 10 by 10 second holds, so you draw in and hold for 10 seconds before resetting. And over time we can progress this to 5 lots of 20, 4 lots of 30, 2 lots of a minute, and eventually you want to be able to keep this active while still breathing for 2 minutes at a time. Be mindful to keep your spine long, so think about the top of your head drawing away from your tailbone, keeping the shoulder blades slightly drawn back and down, keeping knees under hips, and as we draw up through our belly button, we're also thinking about drawing up through the pelvic floor muscles. As we build competency in this positioning, we can then move into the horse stance decompression. So in this one, we're a little bit higher back up in that original positioning. And as you can see, I'm lifting opposite hand and knee off the ground. This is really efficient at building on our sling systems and the endurance through them. It's very important that we have the neutral arch, so we don't let our lower back round out too significantly. We've got those 3 points of contact. And what you're aiming to do here is raise opposite hand and knee off and hold for approximately 5 to 10 seconds before switching to the other side. Again, we can build on about 10 repetitions of this before we rest. Ideally, we're building up to doing 2-minute reps over time. It's important to maintain those same cues of long spine, neutral neck, neutral pelvis, and keeping hands and knees underneath our shoulders and our hips. Next, we're moving into the lower abdominal series. So we'd like to have our hands, the middle fingers touching each other and placed just below our belly button and the curve of our lower back. From here, we'll slightly roll our hips under, draw our belly button towards our spine, and get pressure onto our fingertips. The goal is now to maintain this pressure as we move our leg through its functional range. So we can see what is the range I can move my leg without changing any pressure on my fingertips. That means not losing pressure, nor overly compressing our fingers. You want to imagine you've kind of got like a grape under there and you're just keeping enough squish that you don't burst the grape, but you're maintaining some good pressure on it. That's your fingertips. From here, we want to be building on roughly 1 to 2 minute sets. So you can work on the range, getting longer as you get more competent with it, and then eventually switching over to see how you go with the other side. Keys are to maintain good breathing. So generally we're going to breathe in as we lower our leg and and breathe out as we bring the leg up. To progress, we can alternate. So one leg stays up, the other down, and then we can alternate our legs, maintaining that consistent pressure on our fingertips. This is going to help to build on the strength and endurance of our lower abdominal muscles, but also their coordination, meaning we can maintain a neutral spine as we move our legs through flexion and extension and not allow it to pull on our pelvis. As we build competency with the alternating legs, we can then build up to double legs. So from here, maintaining pressure, maintaining a long spine and breathing in as we lower down, breathing out as we drive back up. Be aware of what's happening with your lower tummy muscles and making sure that we're finding that nice middle ground, keeping pressure on your fingertips, not losing it, but not over compressing and just over recruiting basically the oblique muscles. Again, for this one, it's working into a bit more strength now, but we're still wanting to build up to doing, over time, 1 to 2 minute sets. That means if you can do this with good competency, you might just start with doing 20 to 30 seconds, resting for at least half the time, and then repeating, so that you do a total of 2 minutes. Some variations is bringing your feet together or your feet straight. Feet straight is going to be a bit more of a lower abdominal strength test. If you're getting any clicking into the hips, that generally means you need to build up more strength and regress it. But another way you can build up on it is by slightly turning your knees out. This will help to take the hip flexor slightly out of the exercise and put a bit more emphasis on the adductors and the lower abdominal muscles. Next, we're moving into our final stability exercise, the prone cobra. With this exercise, again, you want to maintain some lower abdominal engagement by drawing your lower abs away from the ground. Ideally, we build up to the point where we can keep them at that slight 3 to 4 out of 10 engagement for the duration of the exercise. From here, we're thinking nice long spine, slight tuck of the chin, and floating our chest off the ground. If I've told you that your back is quite flat, then you want to think about less glute engagement and trying to fire up those lower back muscles slightly more. Or if you have quite the arch back, then we want to think about slightly tucking our tailbone and getting more of the glutes. With our shoulder blades, we're scooping them back around and we're drawing our arms up and towards the ceiling, really recruiting our thoracic and shoulder blade stabilizers, and slightly floating our legs off the ground to get a little bit of hamstring recruitment. Here we're doing the A format. You can play with doing a T or a Y, bringing the arms slightly up into shoulder height or overhead. A nice regression is to come down into a W position that you'll see here, or hands on the ground. A nice variation to these exercises using a material power band, wrapping it around your right shoulder, across the front of your body, around your back, and then looping it back around your left shoulder. You'll have to play around with this to get the tension right, but essentially what this will do is pull you into that hunched position. The beauty of this is that it gives you some biofeedback, and we can then engage all those stabilizing muscles to resist against the band. That alone helps to build on our posture, and you can do this in a standing position, a kneeling position, or also in a hinged position. And just work on holding that positioning, nice long spine, open shoulder blades, and coupling it with some good diaphragmatic breathing. Again, building on durations for somewhere between 1 to 3 minutes. From here, you can also move back into the cobra position, and then do the same exercise as earlier, except now we've got a bit of extra resistance, which in turn will help to train those stabilizing muscles at a faster rate. We can play around with our positioning of our arms, moving into a Y, W, A or T position. And I would suggest working at your capacity here. Find where you can get the best connection into your shoulder blades, your lower abdominal muscles, your mid-back, lower back, glutes and hamstrings. Ideally, we build up to being able to hold these positions from 2 minutes as a minimum, ideally 3 to 4 minutes, to show that we have good competency, strength, endurance in our type 1 muscle fibres, the muscles that help to support our spine and posture. And as we build on these, we're generally going to have better axes of rotation through our shoulder joints, through our mid-back, which will allow for us to have better stability and strength. Generally, when you stand up and take off the band, you'll feel a little bit taller, a little bit more aligned. One final good exercise we can do with the band, which can be complementary to your training, is if I've told you that your shoulders are slightly depressed down, meaning your collarbones are quite parallel to the ground, then doing some slow shrugs with the band can be a great exercise to help open up that shoulder joint and essentially get the scapulars sitting a little bit more elevated and rotated back. In this exercise, I'm going for a slow shrug and just slightly working with some internal and external rotation as I maintain that positioning. This should not cause any joint pain or neck pain, and if anything, should feel quite freeing for the shoulder joint. In conjunction to doing the external-internal rotation, we can also work on doing some slow shrugs. Again, if we're trying to build on some strength endurance or some postural endurance, we want to be working on this for a minimum of about a minute, but ideally working up to the 3 to 4 minute range. In this case, I'm shrugging up for about 3 to 5 seconds, holding, then slowly lowering down to just before my shoulders are depressed back into that original position. I then slightly shrug up, hold, and control back down. This is coupled with keeping a neutral pelvis, slight engagement of my lower abdominal muscles, and a slight retraction of my chin. Hope you enjoy.